I've now mounted the scope mount bases onto the scope rail of the gun. At the moment I've got these loose so that I can adjust them for eye relief when the scope's in position. The next step is to offer up the scope onto the mount bases and then take the saddles, put them into position and insert the retaining screws. At this stage, these are only going to be loosely tightened because again I need to be able to rotate the scope to ensure that the reticule is vertical when the scope is finally positioned. One of the most common problems that we encounter with people using scopes is that they over-tighten these locking nuts. The effect of doing that is that the scope body is crushed. Now that may not be immediately apparent, but when the scope mounts are removed, the body will be found to be damaged. And that can often result in it being unable to work as it should because the amount of space inside the scope for the erector tube to move in is very small. So any crushing of the scope body can prevent it from fulfilling its designed purpose. As ever, when fulfilling these tasks, it is vital to ensure that the gun is unloaded and uncocked. I'm now going to bring the gun to aiming position and look through the scope, and the first thing that I'm going to do is to rotate the scope until the reticule is vertical. Now that I've achieved that, the crosshairs are where I want them, I'm going to move the scope and the mounts back and forward until they are in the right position for my eye, which is about there. And what I'm going to do now, just to make sure that that's the case, I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to then make my face comfortable on the stock of the gun and open my eyes. And if I've got that scope in the right position, the sight picture will look absolutely as I want it to. My head will be in the right position, and when I shoot this gun, instead of adjusting my head so that it's in the right position for the scope will be in the right position for my head. And that's perfect. I'm now going to tighten the mounts on the gun, and I'm doing that initially by tightening the opposite screws across the saddle. Never tighten them all on this side and then all on the other side. Never do these up more than finger tight. The other thing I'm trying to do is to make sure that the gap here and here is the same on each mount, because that will help to avoid pinching and damaging the scope body.